I like to call Gendre's time-lapse tree. He's made me sit here while he's done time-lapses before, but I think he's a bit jealous. He can't time-lapse the storm rolling in. Now, I don't think it's going to hit us. So, if we follow my hand, I think what happens is the rain is going to push south like this. And it's going to, oh, there's some lightning. And it's going to push through this gap and follow around and then head up to the north, but behind us. I think we're sitting in the spot where the rain is going to miss. Again. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out a little later. Make one out of a guarri bush, it's actually very ineffectual. Hello, Cat in Tampa. Cat says, wait, Shadow has new clothes. It's my theory. From the last time I saw her, she looked heavily pregnant, and she hasn't been seen since. Just the way she was behaving, and she was moving in a very localized area around a set of quite impenetrable little river systems. So I think she's had cubs. I'm not saying she has had cubs. No one has seen any cubs. I'm speculating that I think she might be denning. Standing by, Uncle Michael. Copy, thank you very much. So that's from Mike Grover, Candice's husband, and they are the management, or Candice is the general manager here at Djuma. He's just letting me know the Nkumas are 500 meters north of our boundary, and if they were going to pop up, he was just letting me know where he thought they might, but currently they are flat cat. Impala Road power lines heading south. Okay, now the one thing, there's a bit of wind around, that's why I'm driving quite slowly. I'm trying to make sure I don't hear or don't mishear any alarm calls or things like that. Now, normally on bushwalk we try to stay away from the roads, but it seems like Tayla has found something on a road.
And I'm so glad that we walked on this road in the end, because look at what we have found. Now, I can't play a game with you because I think it will take ages. I don't know if any of you will guess this as to what has happened here. This is a very difficult one. But perhaps we shall try, but you've got to be quick with your answers though. So this will give it away. Let's see how good all of you are. See this piece of dung? I'll give you one clue. Whose dung is this? And what has happened here? So send your answers through to hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV in case you do not have a Twitter handle. But it's really interesting, and it's very much like a crime scene. We have got carrion beetles that are moving through this stuff over here, and there's lots of them. There's even a couple of them that occasionally have been mating. And then have a look what I've found inside. Look at that. That is a hoof of something. A very small little hoof. Can you see that? That's actually one side. Let me find the other piece. Here we go. I don't want to really touch it with my hands. I'll try and pick them up together. Can we? Yes, yes, we can. And we'll put them down here so you can see. Okay, I don't care, I'll just wash my hands. That lasted long. My mom will kill me if she sees me playing with the remnants of animals. But as you can see, tiny little hoof over there. Most likely from something like an impala, because there's loads and loads of impala lambs out and about at the moment. Look, here's little bones. And something like this you'd completely drive past. These teeth. Look. Look at that. All from this one animal's feces. So I hope we're sending in some guesses as to what you think it is. Oh my goodness, there are some old professionals that are watching Safari Live. Well done to Raisa, first guess, and you've guessed hyena, which is correct. Congratulations, you win the prize of getting your name said out loud, I suppose. That's a good enough prize. And it's very old hyena dung. It doesn't look like it is too fresh. It's hard, it's been baking in the sun. And of course, the carrion beetles have come around here and they have completely turned everything upside down, really. Now, carrion beetles are also known as burying beetles, but what I'm so interested about is why are they here? We normally see them on carcasses, and I actually showed you, I think we may have seen one this morning, but we also saw the carrion beetle larvae the other afternoon crawling all over the buffalo carcass that's near Buffelshoek Dam. Now, I know they eat the flesh, they eat all the bits, and they clean the bones up nicely, but why are they here? I have to do a bit of research because I've never seen carrion beetles just in hair before. And obviously there's not really much left in this hyena dung, really, except calcium carbonate, which is the excess. Do you want to fight me, little beetle? It does too. It's very curious. Oh, look, it's walking up my tool. Now off you go. You cannot mate with my tool. This one I think is a very frisky little beetle because it's been walking around and pushing all the other beetles around. What's going on over here? Is there misbehaving going on in here? It looks like there's a lot of misbehaving. Can you see them misbehaving, Via? Do they look like they're misbehaving to you? Maybe they're just wrestling. I'm not sure what those beetles are doing, but there's 3 of them now, and they're all crawling all over each other, and 2 of them are laying on their side. Isn't that bizarre? This is so exciting, and this is what I love the most about being out here on foot, or just being out in the bush every single day, is coming across something like this. Like I said, never seen carrion beetles in hair before. Have to do a bit of research and find out maybe there's something that they particularly enjoy feasting on over there, or maybe they're collecting it. I am not sure. Maybe they're the greatest knitters in the world and they're building a nest of some sort. That's probably not the reason. It's probably not true. I've made that up, so please don't believe me or quote me on that. But Jamie has got a couple of dwarf mongoose for you this afternoon.
I do think if the carrion beetles knitted a sweater, perhaps they would knit one that would fit this adorable little creature. That was the first thought that came into my head when Kirsty relayed what Tayla was chatting about with the carrion beetles and her hyena scat. Nevertheless, we've been sitting with this family of dwarf mongoose. It's now down to 1 dwarf mongoose. They were about 5-ish, 6-ish when we started. We're now down to 1. The rest of them have all gone to ground and disappeared into their termite mound burrows. This little one is still soaking up the last warmth of this afternoon before the storm hits. And like many of our animals, they will be one of the first to disappear off when a storm does hit. And they don't want to be running around when it's raining, and when it's windy and when it's dark. It's very, very dangerous for something that is that small, and therefore on the menu for quite a few things. But definitely one of my favorite animals to see, and I'm glad that we've managed to see them on my first afternoon back. A little dwarf mongoose. And just to give you a sense of scale, hello, yes, I am talking about you. Just to give you a sense of scale, because it's very difficult to see it when you're looking at it on a screen, particularly for those of you that are new to these live safaris. That little dwarf mongoose is probably, with including its tail, no longer than my forearm, and only a couple of 100 grams. I think I worked it out that it would weigh about 12 ounces. Have I got that conversion right? Yes, I think I did. About 12 ounces, because they only reach a maximum around 300 or so grams. So tiny, tiny little creatures, and in fact the smallest of the carnivores out here. Casting about anxiously, listening to the storm and the sound of the wind. These little mongoose would have spent their last few hours foraging for various insects. They're fierce hunters of things like scorpions. And I wonder, maybe even carrion beetles, although I'm not 100% sure. Somehow I don't think a carrion beetle, like the one that you saw with Tayla, would be all that appetizing for a dwarf mongoose. I'm not sure. There's an interesting point. We'll have to go home and research that together, Tayla and I, whether or not a dwarf mongoose would eat a carrion beetle. I think so. I don't think they'd turn their nose up at that. Now, this is something that I've noticed as well, and Heather's raised this point, saying that she loves the grass around these mongooses. And Heather, oh, there's a tick on that one. You can just see the tick at the base of the grass there in the middle of your screen. That's looking for the passing or any kind of passing animal to brush up against it so that it can grab on and proceed to make that poor animal very uncomfortable. Heather, I agree with you. In fact, this is one of my favorite grasses. That and Natal redtop. It is called feathertop chloris. It's one of the sort of the many chloris species that we get out here, but this particular species is very prevalent in this particular area, and it likes to grow on termite mounds. And Heather, I'm not sure if perhaps you are a new-ish viewer. Maybe you've joined us for the first time during our summer months. Last year, we had the most amazing scenery because we'd sit with the hyenas for hours and hours, and that was about a year ago now. We'd sit with our hyenas at their den site, which was underneath a termite mound, and this grass would provide us with the most incredible scenery because the sun would shine through it first thing in the morning, and the little hyena cubs would be dancing up and down about in it. I'm just going to jump out for a second and grab some so that Heather can have a closer look at this particular type of grass. I think Brent's right, by the way. I don't think that the storm is going to hit. I think it's going to go right past us. Ouch. Let's grab some chloris grass. You will do. Now here we go. I'm going to jump back in the vehicle and then we can have a closer look at this grass that Heather says she loves. Because it is fascinating, the different approaches of the different species of grass. For example, let's grab some Eragrostis. What else have we got around here? Okay, we're relatively limited for choice. There we go. So it gives us a really nice example of the different species of grass and their different approaches to seed dispersal, because this, of course, is what the inflorescences are for. The inflorescences are the part of the sort of the flowering part of this, or the seed part of the different species. So this is the grass that Heather drew our attention to. It's the chloris grass. And these spindly fibers, when the seeds are ready to be dispersed, will very easily embed themselves in the fur of animals. So that's one way in which the chloris disperses. They're not quite ready yet, so the seeds are not too sticky, or the hairs are not too sticky. But it's very smooth and a very silky, silky grass. It's quite beautiful in its own way. And as it gets riper, these various filaments will spread out in a way that will maximize the surface area. Isn't that pretty? And then, of course, you've got different approaches of other species of grass. So we've got seeds. Oh, that's so sticky. This seed, for example, which at first I thought was signal grass, but is not. I must double check which species of grass this is. But it's got very, very sticky seeds. You can see one's already managed to land itself on my finger. So it's got very, very sticky flowers and seeds. And there we go. Very light. And if I do this with this Eragrostis grass, which is one of the most common grass species, I don't know if you can see the grass seeds are actually flying away as I do it. So these are light enough to be borne by the wind. They're all floating away. Now, speaking of our chloris grasses, we have a question about which particular animals would like to eat the chloris grass. And the answer is most animals will. A lot of things, particularly on termite mounds. So this is in answer to Lionheart's question. I wanted to call you Lionheart's question. You wanted to know what will eat chloris grass, especially where it grows on termite mounds. Things like zebra will come through and nibble off it, and elephants will as well. It's not the best grass in terms of nutritional content. It's quite high up there. No, it's not. It's somewhere in the middle. Let's put it that way. It's in sort of the middle of the range in terms of really nutritional grasses, as opposed to something like the Natal redtop, which is really far down. And we'll show you Natal redtop once we start to see them. Beautiful red colored seeds, really, really pretty. They look like cotton. I don't know how to describe it. Beautiful cotton type covering. So Natal redtop is very bad, and then Eragrostis, which I thought I had a moment earlier, but I didn't. Oh no, sorry, not Eragrostis, panicum grass or buffalo grass. That's got very, very good nutritional quality, as does something known as red grass, which we don't see all that much. And I find now that summer's come back again, I'm feeling the urge to go and brush up once again on my grasses, because for 8 months of the year, you kind of forget all of these things and all of the different species. But it is amazing to see the difference between 10 days ago when I was last driving and now, and how many more grass species I'm seeing. I know that somebody loves grasses, because I see that he's been reading the grass book while I've been away. Let's head over to Brent to see what he has to tell you.
I've only been reading the grass book because my grasses are so rusty. I didn't see any for the rest of the year. But I have been indeed reading the grass book while Jamie's been away, just doing some revision. So when I need to look at a grass, I'll know what it is. Now, as I said, I think we're going to be free of rain, or at least during drive. I think it could swing around again, but I do doubt it. So, no rain, let's look for leopard. Now, I've literally been checking Karula and Shadow's territory very carefully. No sign of either of them yet. Oh, another black-bellied bustard. Here we go, another male black-bellied bustard, hoping to find a mate. Are you going to give us a display call? Oh. Come on, you can do it. Give us a champagne cork pop. Now, Herbie is brilliant at emulating these guys. But you're not a female. Why should I display for you? Funny looking birds. You can see where they get their name from, the Black-bellied Bustard. So he's heading out into the open grasses again. He might want to find a spot to display. So if we keep still, well, he might get a bit of a treat. Now, they are polygamous breeders. So the female might mate with multiple males. Males play no role in raising the chicks. I think he's just gapping it across the road. Oh, here we go. Now his head's going to pop up again. Bloop. There we go. Oh, at least he gave us one. Let's see if he does it again. Looking for ladies. Maybe he's just trying to impress Craig. They do have incredible movements. Now, these are not normal movements. Oh, heads up again. No, is he going to do the pop? No. So even when you see how he's moving his head in a very snake-like manner, that is part of his display. So along with the call, there's a lot of visual displays that the Black-bellied Bustards will do to attract ladies. Oh, off he goes. And off we go. Now, Dee Dee, I was just chatting about Shadow, and you wonder whether it's Shadow from Big Cat Diaries. I don't think so. I think Shadow was a cheetah in Big Cat Diaries, not a leopard, firstly. I actually haven't watched it. And secondly, we're probably over 1,000 kilometers away from where they filmed. Even more, actually, 2,000 kilometers. So that was filmed in Kenya, in the Mara Triangle, where James went to visit earlier this year. And we are in the Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa. So a long, long way away from Kenya. Now, Africa is a massive continent, one must remember. Hello, Cat in Tampa. Cat says Black-bellied Bustards' heads look ostrich-like. Are they distant relatives? I don't think so, but if they are, it's very, very, very distant relatives. The Bustard family and the ostrich family, as far as I can remember, are not very closely related at all. They're related to Korans and other bustards. Well, maybe it's time for a southern boundary run in hope of Queen Karula. It's starting to get into really good hunting weather for her. As the wind picks up, the skies darken, the impala steenbok tremble. There's quite a bit of lightning around. Still okay. Ooh, that's a massive one. Six, 7 k's away still, so still far enough away for us to carry on safely. Okay, while we do that, it seems like little Tayla is running off before the rain comes, so she would love to say goodbye to you.
Brent is quite right. It's a little bit eerie out here now. The clouds have definitely come over ahead. The lightning is getting closer, and well, the temperature's cooling down, which is wonderful. So I'm waiting for the first drippy drop that is going to land on my head. But I suppose before we get any of the equipment too wet, I better say goodbye to all of you. But it's been a wonderful walk again, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. And I hope that... Oh, sorry. Rexon has just said he spotted something. Sorry? Oh, leopard tortoise. Before I say goodbye, come and have a look. One last thing to show you. I couldn't work out what Rexon was doing. I thought it was maybe something big, and then he did small. So I thought, okay, we should be alright, but we'll charge on over to show you one last thing before we actually say goodbye. It's making an escape. Quick, VM! Quickly! After the tortoise. Right. Gotta run, VM. And you can see this tortoise is desperately trying to get away. Don't worry, my friend. We're not going to harm you. You can see it's a little bit nervous. And I reckon with the bad weather that's on its way, it's probably going to tuck itself under a nice shrub now and settle in for the evening and, well, wait for first light tomorrow when it can come out and start its day again. Look at that. It knows exactly where it's going. And that's a good spot there. It's a little indentation in the ground, you can see. Nice leaves, a little bit of a roof to keep the rain off of it. that is the perfect spot for the most perfect leopard tortoise. But like I said, sorry about that, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. So for myself, Rexon and VM, we hope to see you tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. But like I said, put all the pressure on Brent and Jamie this evening to find you a cat. I'll see you tomorrow.
So whilst a bushwalk heads home in the face of the fierce storm and the impending darkness, never fear, because the vehicles can stay out, and as Tayla said, the pressure's on now to find a cat. I hear that the Nkuhumas are north of our boundary. I have no idea where Queen Karula is. As I said, when you get back from leave, it's always a very strange feeling, because you feel a little bit out of the loop, so to speak, as though everything's kind of moved on and you've arrived expecting where everything to be where you left it, and that sort of thing. And while I was away, I went into the Kruger National Park, and we went to go and stay at Letaba Camp. And I must say, as wonderful as that is, and I love the Kruger, I still get that childlike excitement from visiting the Kruger. Sorry, I know we keep talking about this, but it is such a dramatic sky. Let's just have one more look at it. It's so beautiful. Challenge those of you with very fast, very practiced screenshotting fingers. Perhaps you'll manage to get a screenshot of the lightning, although of course now I've said that there's not going to be one single flash, is there? Oh, no, there was one there. Most dramatic. The ominous growl of thunder in the distance. Reverberating a full 360 degrees around us. Quite spectacular, isn't it? And what I was going to say was, in the Kruger, of course, you have to drive around in a closed vehicle unless you're on one of the official Kruger Land Rovers or Kruger Jeeps. And it's such a pleasure to be out in an open vehicle. And there's also always, especially for us, because we basically work in the greater Kruger area. So essentially we work in the same place as the Kruger National Park, just we're in the Sabi Sand and the Kruger's to the east of us. But there's no fences in between. And I've become so accustomed to, over the years, launching myself out of the vehicle whenever I feel like it, and going off for a little stroll and perhaps collecting chloris grass or something along those lines, that it becomes quite a struggle to then adapt to not being allowed to do that, because you aren't, and for very good reason. They can't make exceptions, and they can't have tourists who are able to drive themselves around there, jumping out wherever they please. Aha, I see. Sorry. Let me try and show you what I see. I see little lion tracks in the sand. Not fresh lion tracks, unfortunately. Oh, have I made your life very difficult? I have, haven't I? Hold. Let's give it a go. I like that. I like that spirit. There we go. Brilliantly done. Perfect. Well done, Kenan. Thank you. The not-so-fresh tracks of a lion pride that I am going to assume walked along this road sometime last night. And again, given the opportunity to hop out, that is exactly what I shall do. Just because I want to see it. Oops, sorry, that was not Kenan, that was me, accidentally taking my foot off the brake. I'm just hopping out to have a look at the size of the tracks. Definitely the females were here, in Kuhuma Pride. I was hoping I might get a chance to see the cub tracks, just to see how much they've grown in the time that I've been away. I have, of course, been enjoying all of your screenshots while I've been away, keeping me up to date on the comings and goings of the various animals. So I do have a rough idea, but it would be nice to see them. Oh my goodness, lightning everywhere now. It would be nice to see them once again in person. I'm going to duck out of the way of this very exposed spot and head into a slightly more protected area. Let's head over to Brent, who's also looking at the gorgeous sky.
Isn't this absolutely stunning? Now I'm just taking a moment enjoying this incredible sky. Now get ready for lightning. We have seen some massive bolts. So who's ready for a screenshot of lightning? Okay, come on, one big bolt. It's coming. I can feel it in my bones. Oh, there was a little one behind the clouds. Listen to that rumble of thunder. And anyone who mentions, oh, still behind the clouds. Anyone who mentions Toto, and I Miss the Rains down in Africa, is banned. Just come a little bit to the right. I think that's where the next one's going to be. A little bit more. There we go. And you can see the edge of the storm, or a bit of the edge of the storm there. The lighter colour coming in from the west. There's still another storm behind that. Come on, I want to get one big bolt, and then we can move on. Boom! Wow, that was a good one. Hey, oh, look at the go. Just zoom in on that spot there to the right. More, there we go. See those little hills there? A little bit more to the right. Look at that. Now that's right on the south, actually sorry, the western border of the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, and it's raining down there. So it seems like the south and western sectors are going to get some decent rain. I'm not sure whether us up here in the north are going to. Well, you can see the flashes behind there. Wouldn't it be fun to be sitting on top of that little hill while the lightning crashes about you? Let's Let's come out a little bit wider, a little bit higher. There we go. Stop there. I think that's where we're going to get a nice big bolt shortly. It seems to be quite a concentration of lightning in that particular area. Oh, it is magnificent. Donna loves thunderstorms. Donna, me too. I could literally sit and watch them for ages. Come on, lightning. Play along. There were such big bolts there a little earlier. Okay, we'll give it another minute. If we don't get a nice big bolt, then we'll move on. Oh, it's all just behind that cloud. There should be one coming through shortly. Hello, DD Star. DD Star is wondering, do we get flash floods? Well, indeed we do. And it's the most common sort of type of flood in this area. The rivers come up very quickly, go down very quickly. Now, actually, while we're waiting for some lightning, just come out a little bit. I want to show you something, how amazing this is when you look at the different wind levels. So let's come out to the right and look at that cloud there. So we're going to zoom, and it's almost center frame now. Now look a little bit to the right. Those clouds are moving to the west quite quickly. I mean, it looks relatively slow, but I mean those clouds are seriously maneuvering. But then if we come out and come above us here, and we look at these clouds here, so a little bit more to the left, yes, those ones there, Let me zoom in on them a little bit. Oh, there we go. Those clouds are going in the exact opposite direction. So there's different levels, or there's different winds at different heights. I've always found it amazing. You can sit here watching a storm. We've got clouds going in the exact opposite directions. But it looks like if we come out, the lightning's not really playing along with us at the moment. But it is a spectacular sky. But now let's go see if we can put a spectacular leopard in front of the spectacular sky. Oh dear. Rusty, stop misbehaving. There we go. Now, Eyes Misunderstood would like to know how quickly do they up in Africa? I mean, it all depends. Again, like anything, it can go.
Is almost definitely, let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure that's a male that we're looking at. And I'm not quite sure whether perhaps we actually interrupted his courting attempt of the female that is... Oh, well, never mind. He's been distracted by dinner. There was a second squirrel with him, and it made me wonder whether or not perhaps we hadn't interrupted something. It might also have been a disagreement between two male squirrels, but whatever it was, he seems to be quite thoroughly distracted by the prospects of seeds and other things that he can find on the various plants on the ground. This is quite cute. We don't often get to watch this. Grabbing it with his little hands and munching away quite happily. What were you up to, mister? Yes, it's most definitely a boy. And I'm pretty sure I did interrupt something a little bit earlier. Now, interestingly enough, squirrels, of all of the animals out here, they have one of the largest, just in terms of talking about whether or not it's a boy or a girl, they have one of the largest proportions in terms of testicle to body weight ratio, which sounds like a really obscure sentence or a really ridiculous sentence to say, but they do have a particularly large testicles for their body size, which gives them the males a very, very distinctive identifying feature. And one of the reasons behind that is because squirrels are not in any way monogamous, and they have to produce as much sperm as possible in order to ensure successful passing on of their own genetics as opposed to another male's. So essentially, to mate with a female, she'll then go off and mate with any other male that she happens to find in the area. And as a result, squirrels have evolved particularly large testicles as a way of keeping up with the production of sperm. So essentially ensuring that they are the fathers and not any other male that she goes and mates with. She's still watching him while he nibbles away. She is clinging onto a tree, looking on anxiously. I think it's a she. If we just go up into the top of that tree there to the right, there we go. There she is. Hard to tell, but I'm relatively certain that that is his lovely lady friend. Peering anxiously down at him. Are you going to descend and reunite with your gentleman? Or perhaps have we ruined the moment forever? I do hope not. I do doubt that as well, just by the way. I'm sure that they will not be distracted for long if that is what's been happening here. Amazingly agile little creatures, and always fascinating to watch. And of course, it's an animal that most of you will be able to relate to, because you have squirrels in various forms and various colors throughout the world. And whether you know the grey squirrels or tree squirrels or red squirrels, if you're fortunate enough to have any of those in your area where you live. it'll be an animal that you're particularly familiar with. I think a highly underrated animal. Oh, well, there we go. Lorena says that she has black squirrels where they live. That's amazing. I would love to see a black squirrel. I've seen pictures of them, but I've never ever obviously seen one in person. I've seen one red squirrel once when I lived in the UK. The rest of them, of course, were the grey squirrels. Some ants crawling up and down the tree there. The rest of them were the grey squirrels that, of course, have taken over most of the UK as an introduced species, as a pest, an exotic species, and actually outcompeted with the red squirrels. But I've never ever seen a black squirrel, so that is something I would love to see. I did, however, in the same place where the honey badger was raised, I did once have my shoe taken off by one quite aggressive ground squirrel. They were terrifying, I promise you. Those ground squirrels were probably the scariest thing I encountered in my entire time living and working in the southern Kalahari. You'd go and you'd sit on the veranda, and you'd want to have your cup of tea or whatever it was when you were sitting outside. And if you weren't careful, if you weren't paying attention and you weren't wearing shoes, they'd come up and they'd sink razor-sharp teeth into your toes for no reason. They'd just obviously become very used to people. It's one of the animals that you always... Oh my goodness. Let me just count the seconds here. The lightning is around us. Okay, that one was still a bit further away. The lightning to the west of us is getting closer. The lightning to the south of us is much more extreme. Of course, now it's going to vanish again. Much more extreme, but a little bit further away. I'm still going to keep heading for home. I don't think it's going to hit us, but I'd prefer not to find out. Let us keep going and leave our squirrels to their pursuits, especially when they're attacking you. Or your toes. Without any provocation. Particularly the big males. While I try and decide whether or not I want to be even closer to home than I already am, let's head over to Brent and see what he thinks of the whole atmosphere of the evening.
Well, we are doing a little dabble down the southern boundary, hoping... Hello, Shawnee. Well and yourself? Long time, happy Christmas. Can you give me Karula as a present, please? Oh, really? Cool, thanks very much. We'll see you soon. That's Sean from Arathusa. He's a very happy man. Then he saw me, oh, I thought I saw a leopard for a second, but I didn't. He started shouting from quite some distance. But at least we know that one of either Hosan or Shangile was just down this road, so there's a very good chance they could be around here. And wouldn't that be a nice little treat for the end of drive? Now, I heard Jamie was talking about squirrels and flying squirrels. Now, I've actually seen flying squirrels in Africa. They're called alamuras. I've seen the Lord Derby's alamura in Tanzania and in Gabon. There used to be one that lived near my house, or my tent. When I say I had a house in Tanzania, I had a tent. A big tent, though. Bigger than James's tent, but I used to live in it. And there I used to have a flying squirrel. Now, the incredible thing is that... Sorry, I thought I saw something on top of that termite mound. Now, the incredible thing is, of course, they don't fly, they glide. And to glide carefully, one needs to have gliding pathways. So they actually maintain those pathways. So when you're looking for flying squirrels, what you want to do... let me just get my spotlight out. It's still a little bit too light. When you're looking for flying squirrels, what you actually want to look for is where they've trimmed pathways. So they'll have glideways. So they'll glide down to a spot, move up a tree, and then glide down to the next. And they will trim those into perfect little avenues. So it is quite amazing. The Lord Derby's alamura. There's about 3 species, if my memory serves me correctly. in Africa. Now, yeah, see, I thought I heard something. Let's just listen for a second. Thought I heard a squirrel alarming. Just listen carefully. It's gone silent. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. Duck, duck. One big drop. Nah, so not alarming. Oh, we got one big drop. Two big drops. Uh-oh. Hello, Justin. Justin's wondering what's the closest I've been to a lightning strike. I've actually been in a vehicle that's been struck before. But when you are in a normal car with rubber, being struck is not a problem. You're not earthed. Now, our biggest problem is if we get struck on our antenna, we've got 4 deep cycle batteries out in the open here, and that could cause a bit of problems for us. We would be very toasty. But I've been in a car that's been struck by lightning in Botswana, and then I've actually been sitting about 40 meters from a buffalo that was struck by lightning in Zambia. Oh, look at how small they are! Quick, 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 they're going to disappear. The tiny little babies. There's one more coming. There's one more coming. He's going. There it is, tiny little Francolin. Look at that tiny little baby Francolin. Watch out, Hosana or Shongile are around. Now those would be great things for the little young leopards to munch upon. Oh, they're so sweet. No, off they disappear. Wonderful. Hello, Reese. Reese is wondering, do we ever see sandgrass at Djuma? We do. I've seen them on Cheetah Plains, Cheetah Cutline. We only get one species of sandgrass here, the double-banded sandgrass. Now, if Shongile is sitting on a termite mound, would Hosana not go play at Twin Dams? It's possible. We're going to go have a look. Which means Karula is obviously out on the prowl, so she could pop up literally anywhere. Well, it seems like Jamie doesn't have as much faith in my weather prediction as I do, and she's putting on her rain covers. I think it's still going to miss us. Go away, rain. It has brought the temperature down slightly, which is quite pleasant, but it's still quite warm. This is an area that those young leopards have frequented when their mom leaves them alone. Come on, young Hosana. Oh, she's moved from there. I've just heard on the radio. So she could easily be around here. I might actually just check around Twin Dams and then go very slowly back up Gowrie Main. Any sign of them around the mud wallows here? Nope. Let's see if he's in one of his favorite little spots. Is he terrorizing terrapins? Not today. Oh, let's just make sure he's not terrorizing terrapins on the other side. There's some big lightning around. Let me just listen how far that was. Further than 6 kilometers, we're fine. So if you're wondering how I tell, so when I see the lightning, I start counting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, till I hear the thunder. Okay, well, let's go see how Jamie's doing in her paranoia with rain covers.
It's not the rain that's making me paranoid, it's the lightning. And that's not paranoia, that is an entirely rational fear that I feel is fully justified, because lightning is a very, very dangerous thing. The rain is not bothering me. The rain, we should just around that. I want to show you how incredibly low some of these clouds have got. Here's probably as good a place as any. You can see the light on around the Djuma Dam. It gives us a really nice idea just how the storm has descended, with the heaviest and darkest clouds making their way slowly towards Brent, where I hope his lack of paranoia about the rainfall gets him soused. That's exactly roughly where I think Brent is. So all the best to him. It might well be on its way. I'm not entirely sure where he is, but I think he's in that general direction. I'm going to stay here, close to home, and see what I can find around here. I'm not going any further afield. I don't like lightning. It's one of my bigger fears. I'd sooner stand down a charging elephant than get caught in a really serious lightning storm. I think it's a sort of a hangover from when I was a kid. It does make me nervous. Welcome to Tommy Thunders. What a fantastically... Sorry, Tommy, I'm not laughing at your name at all. It's just because it was a really very appropriate name, and I really appreciated it given the topic of conversation. Tommy Thunders doesn't want to know anything about the impending storm, but in fact would like to know whether or not we're in a national park. Tommy, we are to an extent. So the Kruger National Park is a national reserve, and it is one of the largest ones in Africa. Where we are is a place called the Sabi Sand, which is a private reserve, but it connects to the Kruger. So there's no fences between us and the Kruger, the size of the Kruger National Park is actually supplemented by a number of different places, like the Sabi Sand, the Manyuleti, the Timbavati, Kaseri, Baluli, all along its western boundary, or the sort of western fringes of Kruger. And that essentially has become the greater Kruger National Park area. So it makes it absolutely massive. So the wilderness area that we're driving around in now, as I seek refuge from this lightning, the wilderness area that we're driving around in now is about 4 million hectares in size. That's close to 8.5 million acres, so it's absolutely enormous. The animals here are completely 100% protected. They're left to go about their lives as they would always have done, without any kind of human interference, unless there's some kind of injury that's been induced by people. Kenan, you're loving the sky. It is beautiful and slightly menacing. So yes, we are in a natural reserve. We are in a national reserve. And it is one of the largest in Africa, and one very close to my heart. It's a very, very beautiful place. And it's filled with lions and leopards, highest concentration of lions anywhere in the world, close to a place called Satara, that I recently took my mom to for the first time, so that she could meet the resident Scops owl that lives outside the restrooms. A truly magnificent place, and it's difficult to get a perspective as to just how large the Kruger National Park really is. It's bigger than Wales, not the animal, the country. It really is truly massive. Now, speaking of national reserves and the whole process, Wendy, you'd like to know if you have to pay to get into the Kruger if you're in your own car. Yes, you do. And that money goes towards some very, very important things, including the maintenance of the fences and the gates to stop the animals from wandering into the neighboring communities where they might be in danger. It goes towards anti-poaching effort. It goes towards upkeep of amenities. It's a very important, it's a conservation fee, essentially, and goes towards conserving the animals. So yes, you do. If you are fortunate enough to be a South African, you pay less than you will as an international guest. So if you have a South African identity number, then you pay less regardless, which I guess is fair. It's one way of definitely of encouraging people to go and visit the Kruger National Park that sits right on their doorstep. But I would strongly, strongly recommend it for those of you that have the means and the opportunity. A private safari is an amazing thing, and you'll definitely see more on a private safari. But there's something about the thrill of driving yourself through the Kruger that I think many of you would really, really enjoy. Speaking of guided safaris, welcome to Liz as always. It's lovely to hear your name once again. Liz, you want to know, do you think it's harder to go on privately guided safaris if you are a guide? Yes, it is. Definitely. Not harder, it's just different. I think that you're far more aware of what goes into the whole process. You're far more aware of what's going on around you just because you do exactly the same job. I think it very much depends on where you are. I think it depends on who your guide is. And there's very few of us that really do go on the private safaris. Very seldom does that happen as guides. First of all, because it's a huge chunk of money to do so, but mainly just because it's what we do every day. And I've always found it. I did end up once. There's eddies somewhere around here. I can smell them. I did once go on a guided safari with a friend of mine, and I found myself feeling so uncomfortable because that urge, not because she was doing anything wrong at all, she did a brilliant safari, but because that urge to help was constantly there. That urge to jump out and help to pour drinks and do something and change the, fold up the blankets, it's ingrained within us. So I think in a way it is harder to relax yourself on a private safari because you're in work mode. But you'll find that most of us, when holidays beckon, will try and spend as much time as possible in the bush. It's not that we want to be away from being out here. Now, as the storm gets heavier and the clouds get darker, let's go and see whether paranoia has struck Brent yet or if he still feels blasé about it.
You know when you're fearless out here. So I'm not actually worried about the rain. I am getting slightly concerned about the lightning. It's now pushing to about 6 kilometers. And our general rule is that when lightning gets to 5 kilometers, we drop the aerials and we hightail it for home. And there's some massive lightning happening now to the south of us. So I said there was always that possibility that storm could loop around and catch the wind coming off the coast and be pushed back inland. And that looks like what's happening to a degree. Whether we get any rain out of it is a different story. But the one thing I'm definitely not going to deny is that there's a lot of lightning. On a really hot day like today, Josh. Josh says we now see why more men than women are struck by lightning. Yes, Josh. Now I'm just stop on this corner here. I'm going to have a look at the sky. Sorry, my cat mic has disappeared into the hat again. let's just have a look at the sky while I try to fix it quickly. There we go, that's that dark, ominous cloud. So what we want to see here, for me to judge from a safety point of view, is a nice big bolt that I can count in. See how far that lightning is away. See that? If you see that remnant lightning coming through the clouds, I'm not too worried about that. That's behind. I'm worried about the lightning that's right on this face here. See, that's behind. It's incredible that the amount of potential energy that's stored in one lightning bolt could run cities for a year. Now, the problem is not actually harnessing a lightning. You can actually grab a lightning bolt. There's been no inverter or power inverter made so far that can take that kinetic energy or that incredible energy and put it into a battery or anything. I'm sure someone is working hard on it at the moment. Much smarter people than me. Oh, you can hear the wind starting to blow. Brian in Toronto is wondering if the rainfall so far has been enough to break the drought. Indeed it has, Brian. So far, I'd say we're probably sitting on about a normal year's rain, maybe a little bit less than normal, but you must remember the rainy season runs well into May. Sorry, into March, not May, I lied. So we could get a lot more rain still. Some years it rains more in sort of December, November, some years January, February. Well, no big bolts close by, so let's carry on. Now this is ideal hunting weather if you are a leopard. This wind's picked up, there's a dark sky, there's thunder to confuse all the prey species. So who knows, maybe we'll stumble upon a Karula on our way home. So we're only leaving the southern sections of the reserve at the moment. Ooh, it seems to be catching up with us a little bit. 1 or 2 drops, nothing serious, no need to panic. Now, as much as I don't think it's going to rain too much tonight, I do hope I'm wrong, because I am missing a lot of my wild flowers, and it could also create another burst of butterflies. Now, this is also great weather to see the odd snake. They might be out on the move in weather like this, because the frogs might be out on the move. If the frogs think there's water coming or rain coming, and a lot of snake species' favorite food is indeed frogs. Oopsie, there goes my earpiece, hang on. There we go, all sorted. Jay Harb is wondering, are there any animals that are big animals that are really scared of storms? Not wild animals. I mean, they've grown up with these storms since they were little ones. So you find, like, elephants will probably just keep feeding. If it gets really bad, they might just stop where they are. If the rain gets really hard, lions and leopards will sort of batten down the hatches and sort of just try to hide from it. But I'm not really scared, I would say, of this weather. I mean, it's part and parcel. They've got no homes to go hide in. Honestly, I'm not scared of this weather, but the one thing that I do worry about when I see this weather is the electricity going off, because at our house we don't have a generator like the DRC, so it's a good thing I charged my solar lanterns. But while we continue on to see what is out and about and hopefully find a spotted cat, let's go see what the fearless but slightly paranoid Jamie Patterson is up to.
There's a fine line between being fearless and being something else. Hold on a moment, I need to just put my dashboard cover on. All of a sudden the rain started to come down. No need to panic though, it's okay. Not a disaster just yet. Hold on a moment. Oh, there we go. The rain is coming. Kirsty, you won your bet with Chandra in final control. It is raining. It is indeed. Now, Kenan, in order to be a Wild Earth cameraman, you have to have an uncanny ability to predict the weather. That's what seems to be the case, because the rest of the cameramen seem to get it right far more frequently than we do. Of course, Downpour Dave getting the first big rain to the day. He predicted the first big rain months before. Not months before, a month before. Most impressive. It should probably be a requirement as part of the interview process. Okay, it stopped raining again. Now it's just very windy. I'm glad to hear that Brent has charged the solar lanterns. It's very atmospheric when you're wrapped up inside, and we've all got tin roofs, so the sound of the rain drumming away quite peacefully is very lovely. And of course, with the added happiness, no, stay there, with the added happiness of knowing that any amount of rain comes as an enormous relief. Ooh, lightning. An enormous relief to the animals and to the bush. Right, this is perfect big cat weather. Let's see if we can't pull one out of the bag before the end of the drive. Or this is quite dramatic. Let's dodge out of the way there. Yep, here comes the rain. I think we need to get the camera rain cover on, and that is not yet on. So we might need to do that in a second. Not in a second. Definitely we need to get the camera rain cover on right now. Don't really want to stop, even though I know it's time to go. And we actually... Okay, we need to get out of here. We need to drop our antenna. Unfortunately, guys, don't worry for now, Kenan. Unfortunately, guys, what that means is that it is the end of the Sunset Safari. I'm getting out of here. It is the end of the Sunset Safari. We're going to be closing down. We can't risk any of our equipment or ourselves in a lightning storm. So we're going to be saying goodbye and racing home. We'll catch up with you on the Sunset Safari.